Welcome, everyone. This is Janet Majors from the Wise Men podcast series. And today I have a very special guest. His name is Kofi Wood. He works at ASU, and my goodness, he has such an amazing backstory. I'm so excited that you are sharing your time with us today. So, all I can say is welcome, Kofi, and thank you for your time ahead of our conversation.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Janet. It's an honor and a delight to be on the podcast. I mean, I've seen you do this with a woman, with some really amazing women, and for me to have the honor of being the first wise man on your amazing podcast, it's amazing. I am humbled and I'm delighted to be here.
Well, thank you. The whole goal between the Wise Men and the Wise Women podcast series is I wanted to create a conversation across generations and getting the different perspectives. And I thank you for your time. And your backstory presents a really interesting perspective in education. So, if we can, let's just dive in, shall we?
All right, let's dive in.
All right. You grew up in Ghana and got your undergraduate degree in Ghana. Out of all the places in the world, what made you choose ASU um, for your graduate studies?
Well, that's a good question. Uh, I had been in Ghana for a while. I mean, I traveled around a little across Africa and a bit across the Middle East. And I was looking for an opportunity to be where I could innovate. Now, at that point, I was looking at Germany, Sweden, UK, and Canada. I wasn't really looking at US at first, but then this whole wave of AI began, and US was the number one in AI innovation. Europe was still now catching up. Africa hadn't really started even yet. And Dubai was doing some interesting stuff, but US was where I wanted to be because of the innovation.
Mhm.
And so I'd gotten admission to actually 9 schools. Now, before ASU was like 6 schools. And then I had ASU along with 2 others. And I was weighing all my options. I was looking at, okay, where can I build the best future? Where can I upgrade my skills? Where can I be the best version of myself? Where can I be at the cutting edge? And in all my options across these different countries, the UK's, all over Europe, and you know, and Canada, because I had admission in Canada too. Uh, ASU stood out as the one place where innovation was leading. ASU stood out as the one place where I could see they weren't only letting students lead, they were giving them all the resources to succeed, and I wanted that for myself. And so I looked at my options. I looked at ASU, and I said, "This is the place I want to be, and this is the place I know I can be at the very top of my expertise." And so I chose ASU.
Well, moving across halfway across the world must have been a huge cultural shift, um, just shifting from, Africa to the U.S. and then specifically to Arizona. When you first got here, what were the things that came easily to you, and what were the things that, for lack of a better term, presented some unknown challenges that you hadn't anticipated?
Well, that's also a good one. It's never easy moving from one's home to another country. You leave so much behind. You leave your culture, you leave your food, you leave friends
Yes.
you've known your whole life. And coming all the way from Ghana, West Africa, it was different. The slight good thing is Ghana is a bit Americanized, especially in the cities. We follow a lot of American pop culture, a lot of American news. We watch a lot of American basketball. And so for some of the parts I've been able to use to through the media, the American media had been exposed to. But then again, is always different from the movies to what you really get to see on the ground here. And for example, in so one thing that is very particular about Ghanaians is wherever we go, we say good morning, we say hello, we greet, and
Mhm.
me entering certain spaces and saying good morning and no one responded, that, that was different. I had to learn to kind of stop doing that. Ghanaians also like to say please a lot because we are raised to be very, very polite, and we are raised to have very high etiquettes. And so
Mhm.
I was also used to saying please to most things, and I had to adjust that because it wasn't really, in that way for the American culture. Uh, Also, the that sense of, I mean, Arizona has some beautiful places, beautiful people, but there's this ability to just walk to anyone back home in Ghana that you can't really just do over here. You need to be a bit careful with that. And
Mhm.
the, the food as well. I mean, there are some African markets and restaurants, but you never quite get it as it is back home. And
Oh, I bet.
yeah, and then also just how different it is sometimes. For example, back home Sundays, almost everyone is going to church. Here was a bit different. And I mean, there are multiple religions back in Ghana, but we have a lot of Christians. So you see Sunday, everyone is milling to church. Here is not always like that. You may have people going to church, but it's also people just having a very cool, relaxing Sunday, preparing for the long
Mhm.
work week. And so
Mhm.
the atmosphere, the communication, people, how different Sundays were, and the food that wasn't always available were things I had to adjust to. And people think it's really, really hot in Ghana. Uh, Arizona, I love Arizona, let's say 8 months out of the year. There are 4 months, June, July, August, September.
Oh, yeah, it gets
The summer
hot, baby,
is
it
is
gets
is
hot.
really hot, yeah, and I'm not used to that, so I had to also adjust to that. I'm currently living through my second Arizona summer, and it's amazing. I love Arizona as a place, and it's different in some aspect, but yeah, it's amazing.
Well, alls I can say is I think that took a lot of courage and a lot of adjustment, and you speak of it so kindly and graciously, but I suspect there were a few bumps along the way, and that you're kinda making it sound a little bit easier, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Um, you came over here to get your master's in UX, and while you were doing that, you got to work on Ed Plus, and I'll be honest, I was aware of Ed Plus, but I really didn't look under the hood very much until, I prepped for this, interview. My goodness, Ed Plus is an amazing endeavor, a huge endeavor,
It
um,
is.
that I I I have to ask, how did that, influence the direction of your master's? Did it have an impact on you, or was it exactly what you needed while you were getting your master's?
I mean, so getting the opportunity to work at Ed Plus, it's a privilege not every student would get. Their roles are very competitive to get into, and there are some really amazing people working there. And so I, I was in a master's in user experience, and at the
Mhm.
same time, I was working as a UX designer as a student with Ed Plus's UX team. And My very first semester, I worked under my supervisor, Brittany, and she was amazing. And being in my role as a student worker, working as a UX designer, there were things I would learn at work or tasks I'll be
Mhm,
given, and I'll
mhm.
be kind of carried through and taught how to execute on it. Then I'll go to class, and then we would have like class work on that, and I'd already done a bit of it at work. And sometimes it was vice versa. We would learn some new tools in class. I'll use them in class. I'll go back to work at class, and I'll be given a task that I'll be required to use. Those tools I'd kind of just learned how to use in class or been exposed to or been given an assignment on. And so it was like a symbiotic cycle, uh,
I'll
just
bet.
one kind of feeding off the other, and sometimes in reverse. And also, EdPlus, as you mentioned, has so many edtech endeavors. They have so many amazing
Yes.
partnerships from Google to Starbucks to the US Air Force to Uber. They're doing really amazing with their partnerships globally, not just in the US. And so I also got exposed to all these, global standards of user experience design and product
Mhm,
development as a whole. And
mhm,
that's really enriched. I mean, it wasn't just work for me, because that's one thing Ed Plus does for you. If you're a student worker there, they put you in positions where you're not just working or doing tasks and going, you are growing, you are learning, you are building on your
mhm,
expertise. And
mhm,
EdPlus is never afraid to push their student workers out there and give them a challenge so they are seen, so they can do great work and they can be appreciated for it. And so working at EdPlus was very transformative for me. It built me up in my master's as a UX experience person, and it also built me up professionally as a UX designer, and I loved
mhm.
it.
I can't even imagine what you were exposed to, and I mean that, as way above and beyond class, and I love how you weave those 2 togethers out of how they help one another and what have you, and, now that you've gotten your master's, you've actually moved on to one another project that just blew me away, and that's ASU's Create AI, and when I read about it impacting, the medical school and all of the things with, the robotic advancements in medicine, I have to think that this is just another giant leap forward for you. I mean, the med school isn't even open yet. It's not from what I've read, it's not scheduled to open until 2026, but when they do, they are gonna be so far ahead of so many other things. I can't even
Exactly.
imagine what you're gonna be exposed to during that process.
Yeah. So yeah, with ASU, as I mentioned, is always trying to be ahead of innovation. It's always doing something amazing. And whenever there's a new innovation, I believe our very amazing president, President Michael Crow, I believe he would just ask himself, how can this advance learning for my student here at ASU? And so the Create AI endeavor was to allow all of ASU to have a platform, a
Mhm,
secure, data protected, uh, private AI platform that they could build their own AI project on. And that was Create AI. And, to be a part of that endeavor, to shape it, development and its implementation and its rollout for, not just the faculty and staff of ASU, but the students of ASU, and to see them use them to kind of utilize, because it's like a tool we've built and people can wield it and use it in many other ways. And for what we went on further to do with the medical school avatar, it's just one example of leveraging on what we have as Create AI, and then
mhm,
building this whole solution on top of it and seeing how we can advance teaching for the upcoming medical school. And I believe it's just one of many innovations that would spin out of ASU for leveraging on innovative cutting edge latest technology for
Mhm.
our students and our faculty.
I just think about, you watch it on TV, in a medical, TV show, and they start to show how, you can use AI and 3D, to practice surgery, and I know that's television, but you're creating this in the real world, and, um, the impact, the impact that you're gonna have on people's lives is gonna be huge, huge. So I how does that weight feel on your shoulders every day?
I I would say it can be a bit heavy. Currently, I'm working on another partner project, which unfortunately I can't speak publicly about.
Of course.
Uh, but it's for example, being at that very forth, because AI is still very new as a
Mhm,
technology, and every day there's a new iteration of it out. Every day there's a new upgrade, there's a new improvement, and to be, with ASU and to be at that forefront where we are literally shaping how users get to interact with it, how it brings value to them. And this would go on to have, a great impact on a field as critical and as vital as medicine. Yeah,
mhm,
it kind of hits you, for a minute, and you kind of pause and you 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 step back and ask yourself, wow, I'm really a part of this. I'm
mhm,
doing this,
mhm,
and I need to make sure I'm doing it right. I'm laying that foundation because everything we have been doing now is just a foundational measure for what is to come, and I'm laying the foundation right, and I'm not, creating something that would be biased, something that would have faulty responses, something that will not poison, the efficiency, the progress of the upcoming generation, and something that would be great and have that intended impact. And yes, that is something to consider for us every day. We innovate every day. We build something new every day. We play around with this whole, all these AI tools, and we bring them together to build impactful products for our students, our faculty and staff, and our partners.
I love how you talk about the importance of laying the foundation, because the foundation is everything. If you
Yes,
don't
it
have
is.
a strong foundation, whatever you build on top of it, it could crumble. And, yeah, I mean, that carries a certain weight with it. So I hope I didn't put you on the spot by asking that, but I I I I just can imagine when you're designing that far forward, you are leading the way, and and that's a lot. That's a lot. And so I honor you doing this, and I honor the innovations that you're making. The question as I was putting together the questions, the one thing that kind of followed back to me is, had you ever thought of taking some of the knowledge that you've gained here and, I don't know, do a season, a year, or a semester or a year back in Ghana and sharing what it is that you're doing here over there?
That's a good question. So one thing I have is my startup. I have a startup called Limitless Artificial Intelligence, Limitless AI for short. It
Mhm.
started out in Ghana, and being over here, I've also kind of been working on it, not as actively as I would want because I had school and then work, and now I have full-time
Sure,
work, and
sure.
so I've been working on it on a balanced basis. And even back in Ghana, we were pushing, innovation. being here, I'd worked on a few tech solutions. Enlightening was one of them. It was a platform to uh, literally be like an expert resource for students where they could take
Mhm,
pictures of questions and they could see
mhm,
a step-by-step solution. I've
mhm.
evolved it into so many variants and forms. And that is one impact my AI knowledge and expertise. I've been shipping them back home. My best friend back in Ghana is my startup partner, and I've been working with him on an on and off basis, and he's been
Wow.
making some pushes over there, not as consistently as we would want, but we have been doing that. Uh, One thing I'm also in the process of doing is trying to partner with this non-profit back in Ghana that is doing some amazing stuff with education in the various rural communities. And
Mhm.
we are still trying to see how we go about it, but we are trying to have this whole offline uh, AI powered like library where
Mhm,
kids can in
mhm.
remote areas where sometimes internet is a bit of a challenge. Kids can, speak. You can, I mean, you can access an offline version of ChatGPT, but then again, the information may not always be grounded in their school knowledge. So it's
Sure.
like building a retrieval augmented generation architecture offline version and grounding that knowledge they can access in their school books, in their textbooks, and then having that space they can go to and get expert knowledge. And so that is a way I'm trying to transfer some of the expertise back home, and it's something I'm thinking about. Aside all that, I also mentor a few upcoming younger people. Uh, every once in a while, people would approach me on LinkedIn, and there was some years back I was very active in my mentorship. I was actually a part of a formal organization that mentored people,
Mhm,
and I did that work. And so from time to time, there are a few people I get to guide in my expertise. Actually, wrote a whole blog post on Medium a while back, just to guide anyone looking to get started in learning about AI and machine learning. This was before generative AI, so it was like the very hardcore
mhm.
artificial intelligence and machine learning. And now I'm working on a new one, more like a roadmap from very beginner friendly generative AI roadmap. Because I feel as far as generative AI is there, there's still so much of the population, not just back home in Ghana or Africa, but even here in the US and globally,
Of course.
we will be we think because we use all these innovative tools, everyone uses them. There are just so many people who haven't even opened Chat GPT before or understand
I
how
know.
much they can
I
leverage on
know.
it to advance their own work. And so I put together this very beginner friendly roadmap. And I think one of these days I've shared with a few people in my network who had approached me wanting to learn. And so I'm gonna even share it on LinkedIn and hope it makes an impact. And so I may not be physically back home, but I'm still trying to share my knowledge, bring what I know back, and to make that impact. And for me, education is a big deal for me because knowledge is power, as the famous quote says. And my my very good friend and co-founder some years back used to say, with a laptop, the internet, and knowledge, you can build anything in the world. And I believe everyone can maybe get access to a laptop. Internet It's better now
Not so much.
than it is some years back. And but sometimes people don't have the knowledge in certain fields and certain, certain areas. And so
Mhm.
this is also my way of contributing to advancing impactful knowledge back home and everywhere else.
I'm a great proponent of mentoring. I mentor, um, several people, and I don't know who gets more out of it, the mentee or the mentor, but the women that I've mentored have become my daughters from another mother, as I call them. The depth of relationships that you can build as you watch people grow over time, um, there's nothing better. There's nothing better than doing that, and it leaves an impact on their lives, and
It
the I
does.
don't charge for mentoring people and coaching people. My only ask is that you pay it forward. You find somebody
Exactly.
who's hungry for knowledge,
Exactly.
and you help satiate that knowledge, and then you ask them to pay it
Exactly.
on. I
Exactly.
can't think, um, I'm a few years older than you, so thinking about legacy is a little bit closer to mine than my mind than yours, but I like to think that if that's the legacy that I left, I can die a happy woman knowing that.
Yes.
And, alls I can say is, I can't wait to see what you're doing in 10 years. It wouldn't surprise me if you became the president of the university someday. I mean, you just seem to have no offense to the current president or the CIO, they're all great, but I have call me silly, but I think you have great things in your future, and I
Thank you.
cannot wait to see where you are in 10 years, and I just wanna say thank you for your time. Thank you for
Thank you,
sharing
Janet,
your
for the opportunity.
story. Um, I just think you're an inspiration to a lot of young kids that E education is what you wanna make of it, and alls I can say is you've you've made a lot out of it, and the fact that you're sharing it with everybody just speaks to your character and who you are as a man, and and thank you to your parents.
M- m- m-
I
My
have a
mom and
feeling they
dad,
had something to do with it too.
they try their best to raise us well, and yeah, every good thing I am, they've done their best to instill that in me, and I'm very grateful for them. They made a lot of sacrifices for us, me and my siblings, and I'm very
Yeah,
grateful. I'm also very grateful to the Mastercard Foundation. They've been the ones to also provide me some very wonderful funding opportunities to ASU as a whole, as a university. The opportunities they've granted, me to be able to work, in very innovative fields. Ed
mhm,
Plus and the leaders of Ed Plus and my managers there, from Brittany to Jack to
mhm.
Jorel to Orion and Amanda and Enterprise Technology too. Elizabeth Riley, Executive Director John Rome, and my
I'm
very
laughing with
amazing,
you, not at you. It's so cool that you're sharing that with everybody.
yeah, my amazing supervisor, Ayat, and my new lead, Grace, and my colleague, Faith. They've all been very amazing. And I'm I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, being able to do what I do. And I'm very grateful to them and for them. And yeah, I hope through my efforts, the world can be a better place. Even if it's just by a little bit, I hope I can have that positive impact on the world. Thank you, Janet, for
You know,
allowing me to
I
share my story.
Oh, are you kidding? I we have something in common, even at opposite ends of the life, so to speak, because my career is kind of winding down and yours is just gearing up, but, yours, I feel the same way. If we can just change it by this much, then you know what? we know we've done our job, and so I just wanna thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your stories, and I just wish you all the best, and I hope I get to see you in person at ASU next year.
I hope so too. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Janet.
so much.